Sorry guys, I didn't keep my eye on the clock there. We sort of ended right in the middle of nothing. Welcome back. Neelan, Danica, Jason, everybody's back. Welcome back. Sorry, I mean, that ended rather abruptly. It's my bad. I didn't keep my eye on the clock. But we'll recapture. Let's give everybody just a minute or so just to rejoin us. Deidre is back on. Deidre joined us. Dana, Danica, Jamie, Neelan, Rowan, Ethan, they're all there. Let's give everybody a minute or so. As I said, yeah, so my apologies. It ended up very abruptly, that little session, but we'll pick up quite quickly where we left off. There's not a lot much more to do to complete our introduction to what selling is about. I think we will, if I just admit Landon back as well, we'll find that selling can actually be very, very profitable. I mentioned to you earlier on in the first session that that Grant Cardone is a self-professed best salesperson in the world. If we look at his track record, however, there's more than enough evidence to support that claim. He's done very well for himself, and said, do yourself a favor and have a look at that video that I'm going to upload. There's two videos I'm going to upload, but the one specifically where he has a training session with his sales staff. And I think the topic specifically is, and I've also said that Grant has been very successful as a salesperson, to the point where he has a Grant Cardone University for selling, where he trains new salespeople, and I think they've got anything from a 1 year to a 3 year qualification, in even degrees in selling that they offer. And this specific session is a session that he has with his sales staff on how to, they are selling something, a boot camp that is just around the corner in I think 3 months time. But it's quite interesting. Have a look at the video, and it will a lot of things put into perspective, and it's something that you can use as a guideline later on for yourself as future to improve your selling skills. I think where we've left off was on that page. So let me go back to that specific slide. I don't think I have activated the share option. So let's share first the screen before I jump the gun. And everybody, just by the indication of the thumbs up, indicate to me if they can see that slide, the slide that says earning potential of careers. Good. Thanks, Dana, Rowan, Jamie. Yes, right in the bottom right corner is a photograph of person I've been talking about, Grant Cardone. Careers or the earning potential, as I said, can be enormous. You have salespeople who do very well, who get a basic salary and benefits. You get salespeople who, unfortunately, and this is more the sort of the rule than the norm, or the exception, is that salespeople don't get a big basic salary, but if they really want to do well, they have to earn a lot of commission. That's very often the case, and that unsurety about your monthly income in the form of a basic salary, or what your total salary would be, including commission, is what often makes this profession something that's not favorably considered by people as a career, because of that unsurety of exactly what my salary is going to be at the end of the month. But then on the other hand, as I said, yeah, the rewards, if you do pursue a career like this and you have the abilities to sell sand to an Arab or ice to an Eskimo, is that you are going to be very, very successful. It is very rewarding if you are good in sales. But then on the other hand, not everybody is good in sales, and we also accept that. But those who are, they definitely, and I think in this case, like Grant Cardone, has established a career for himself in sales or through sales, that I think last time I checked, his net earnings was 300 million US dollars. That's from his university, and he's a couple of real estate um, businesses as well, and then obviously as a motivational speaker, which most salespeople are good at. The characteristics of effective salespeople is what we will be addressing in the next two slides. At the bottom, I think it's a familiar image to you. There is probably, for those who haven't seen the movie, the Wolf of Wall Street, um, classic examples of different ways of selling things, and I think another, if we refer to specific video material, in this case a movie, brilliant examples of how to sell, and how successful you can be as a result of selling. It's a question of not asking people what they want, but telling them what they need. And I think that's in essence what a lot of successful salespeople do, but it's not really what we want salespeople to carry as a philosophy. We'd much rather prefer salespeople to um, find the best solution for both them and the client by determining what the client wants, doing a proper interview, establishing exactly what their needs are, setting objectives on how we can actually satisfy that particular need. Then it's a win-win. And I think that's what obviously salespeople are striving towards. And that's a kind of philosophy that right at the beginning of the chapter we said is fortunately the marketing customer oriented approach or philosophy is the one that is more evident nowadays in sales than it has been traditionally. What do successful salespeople do? And what sort of characteristics or traits do they have? Well, they are good communicators, and that goes without saying. And they, for some reason, have an abundance of energy um, and a positive attitude in even the worst situations. It's really most effective salespeople that I've met. Um, it doesn't matter what foot they set out of bed first. It's always the right foot. It's if nothing can bother them. So that is a very important trait to have, because you are going to get a lot of objections, and you are going to get a lot of rejections when you are trying to sell something, as long as you don't take it personally. And for that, you need a strong personality and a very, very positive attitude. A very important trait that is often overlooked is the ability to listen. You have to be prepared to listen to the customer, and often you miss the opportunity to close a sale because you're not listening, because you are working off a script in your head on how you want to close this transaction, instead of paying attention to the customer by listening thoroughly, because they are actually telling you, I'm ready to make the sale or to buy the product. And we often miss that opportunity because we are so fixed on a set structure that we have prepared. You have to be extremely knowledgeable on your product as well. That goes without saying. And then also somebody that you can trust, because if you're going to build a long-term relationship with the customer, it must it will need to be with somebody that they can trust and they know that are honest. Salespeople also have the ability to self-motivate, and they are very disciplined. As a matter of fact, one of I think, and probably I won't get the quote 100% correct, but I think one of the quotes that Grant Cardone has used quite often is, if you are not If you are not tired at the end of the day, you have not worked hard enough. And somebody said to me, but when you take a rest, and that was his response. As I said, yeah, it's different for all people, but you have to be very self-disciplined and somebody that can plan very well. Okay. What is direct selling as opposed to what personal selling is? Direct selling is one form or a form of personal selling. Not all personal selling is direct selling. Direct selling specifically refers to door-to-door selling, where it's a one-on-one situation, and very often also your multi-level marketing or network marketing, also called referral marketing approaches. But if we go down to the bottom of the page, we will see that go down to the bottom of the page, or sort of almost towards the bottom, you'll see that if we have to come up with a definition, and I think it's probably you are required in your assignment to also sort of give a definition for direct selling or differentiate between direct selling and personal selling, is the direct selling is where your sales of a product and a service is done person to person. It's away from a fixed retail location, so it's not in a shop. It's marketed through independent sales representatives, who are sometimes also referred to as consultants or distributors. That's a definition. It's a very self-explanatory definition. And in essence, yes, the difference between direct selling and personal selling is that direct selling is more sort of is more done through consultants and distributors as from a specific point, or like a dealership at a dealership. A salesperson who's doing personal selling by selling a car would be the salesperson in the showroom at a dealership when somebody's walking in to buy a car. Everyone understand the difference there? Everyone still good? Right. Almost done with the chapter, and I think we have about 9 minutes to go to finish. I'll keep my eye on the clock this time. No, probably 7 or 8 minutes. The one thing that comes up quite often, and I think that's what I said on many occasions during the session already and the previous session, is that the image that most of us have, or the image that that is out there about salespeople, is very often because of one or two individuals or one or two salespeople who have crossed the ethical line, and it still happens. I mean, you'll find that some people are just heartless because they want to make the sale. And they're desperate to make the sale, and they are so desperate to make the sale that they actually convert to unethical behavior. So one of the, or some of the ethical issues that I want to address is obviously the most common one is the one of the salesperson psychologically manipulating the customer to buy something that they don't really have a need for, or that they actually don't have the money to afford it. Very often another form of, let's look at another form of unethical behavior is when a salesperson is making unrealistic claims about the product. They are giving guarantees that doesn't exist, and they are persistent and they're not taking no for an answer. And unfortunately, yeah, with that kind of approach, you are going to create a bad reputation for the sales industry, or for salespeople specifically. Another form is where they are faking expense accounts when they're moonlighting, in other words, working for other companies in their spare time as well. And I think even when you're giving samples away to your family and friends, you might have a friend who rocks up at the bar. He always has a lot of products, but actually those were samples that were for prospective clients that he had to go and see. And you know what? You will know if it's the right thing to do or not. And some people, unfortunately, don't know where to draw the line. I think, again, some two forms of unethical behavior that we are familiar with are pyramid schemes and Ponzi schemes. And if you're not familiar with those two, pyramid schemes is basically where you are trying to, where you are making money on you're making money on the amount of people that you actually join, or that you can actually encourage to join a particular scheme. So in other words, nothing is sold. There's no product involved, so it's not adding any value. And I think most recently it's been in the news. You've probably seen it, heard it. It's called Crowd One, and they've used the images of Springbok rugby players like Dwayne Vermeulen and even Etzebeth to try and sell this particular scheme. And as I said, the verdict is not out yet. A lot of people claim that they've made a lot of money, but if you're not selling anything, if there's no product involved or service involved, then at some point you're going to run out of people to convince to join the scheme, and that's usually when it collapses. And that's why they call it the pyramid scheme. The guy right at the top is the guy making the money. The guys at the bottom, as they enter, will earn very little. They've just contributed, and as they progress to the top, they will start earning more. A Ponzi scheme, on the other hand, is more sort of a sophisticated form of a pyramid scheme. It has been in the news as well over a number of years. I think one of the examples is it's usually where there's investments made, and then the interest that you claim that you can earn through your investment, the one is paid from the contribution or to you from the contribution of the next person who invests. J. Arthur Brown, I think, was in the news a number of years ago. He had a scheme like that. There was another person, I can't recall his name now, that approached people and said, listen, invest in this particular project, invest in this, and then nothing happens. And all they do is they're collecting money from all the different people who bought into this scheme, and they're paying out the interest to the people who have joined in the beginning. And nobody's going to complain if you're making money. But once the system or the scheme collapses, it ends in tears for everybody. And I think one of the individuals who ran a Ponzi scheme like this here in the Western Cape for the last 5 to 10 years, as a result of everything, eventually when he got caught, I think committed suicide. So I think these things are frowned upon. If it's and my question always is, the question that you should ask is, if it seems too good to be true, it is probably too good to be true. And then don't walk away, just run, sprint if you can. The future of selling, where do we find ourselves? I think where we find ourselves is that we have to embrace technology, and salespeople realizing that more and more customers are now shopping online, especially during lockdown. I think Pick n Pay launched an online, Pick n Pay also launched the online delivery, automatic delivery system. And I think it's not uncommon, because a lot of checkers and a lot of these retailers do it. I think they were forced into doing it. A lot of the restaurants who couldn't serve any food, sit-down meals, are doing that. And I think we have to just realize that things have changed. How can we use technology to ensure that we are as effective as we were in the past? I think, however, for good salespeople, it's always necessary that there's a personal touch, and it's pretty much up to you as the salesperson and how you're going to use technology. Some people are scared of technology. Some people are not very scared, probably because they're not too familiar with all the possibilities. But I think the long and the short is technology is to be used and seen as an ally and not a threat to your profession or to the profession of salespeople. But as a result, and as it says right at the bottom of the page, as a result of the situation we find ourselves in now, it is very difficult, I think, during COVID-19 to sell in the traditional manner that we have in the past. And that's why I would like you to, for the start, and our next session would be on Thursday, the 5th period, 1:45. At the start, just to recap what we did today, I'm going to ask you to share, as it says there on the bottom of the screen, research and discuss. I want you to go to the internet and find some articles for me on how sales and business selling is affected by COVID-19, and how you think we can actually embrace this, and how should we change? How should we re-strategize what salespeople need to do to remain successful? Because the profession is not going to disappear. It's just going to be done differently. We close by the following. You as a salesperson should approach every prospect with the idea of helping that person to solve a problem or to achieve a goal, and not to sell a product or service to them. If you if your approach is the one of helping solve a problem or helping achieve a goal through buying a particular product or service, the product or service sells itself. That person would see, the prospect would see the value of it, and that's the reason why they buy it. Not because you've been convincing or that convincing. That shouldn't be the reason why they buy it. And therefore the approach should always be to rather try and assist and solve problems than actually try and sell something. Guys, I'm going to unmute all of you, and I'm going to give you an opportunity for 1 or 2 minutes just to ask a few questions, because the session is actually done. Do anybody have any questions to me at the moment? Any notes that you've made, anything that you have picked up that is unclear to you, or that you want me to repeat, or maybe you're welcome, as I said, also, please, like I said in the invitation for the session, send me a mail if you have a problem. Any questions?
No, sir. All good. Thank you.
Milan, everybody good?
Sure.
Well, then I say goodbye, and I say good luck for the rest of the day, the rest of the week. Welcome back in semester 2. Please, you've got my email address. I will, on the same day that I receive the emails from you, I will try and respond if it's something that I have an answer for immediately. If it's something that I need to get authorization or approval from management first, then I will do that. But I will respond to your emails on a daily basis. I think it's the best way of communicating, especially if you don't want to use this platform. Thanks, Rowan. Thanks, everybody. Dana, Neelan, Rowan, Danica, Deirdre, Jamie, Landon, Matthew, Jason, everybody that joined the session. Enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you guys on Thursday.
Yes, sir. See you soon.
All good. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye, guys.